Welcome to BeABossDad.com. My name is Joel Haasenritter, and I help high-achieving dads scale their business without failing their family. In this video, I'm going to show you why what you see shapes everything that you build. Let me ask you something. Did you ever feel like you're living two completely different lives? Like there's the version of you in the boardroom, sharp, decisive, in control, and then there's the version of you at home, where you're physically present but mentally still stuck at that 3 p.m. client call. And I've been there too. But here's what I didn't realize for the longest time. I wasn't failing because I wasn't trying hard enough. I was failing because I was looking at everything through the wrong lens. And that lens, that perspective, was quietly destroying both my business growth and my family connection. And if you're watching this right now, there's a really good chance it's doing the same thing to you. Today, I'm going to share a story about a father and a son that perfectly illustrates why perspective is everything. And then I'm going to show you the exact framework that I use and teach to other high-achieving dads to shift your lens so you can finally see clearly. Because when you change your perspective, you change your legacy. If you're ready to stop feeling trapped between success and presence, this might be the most important 30 minutes you invest in this year. Let me tell you a story. There was a boy, let's call him John, maybe 7 or 8 years old, and one evening out of nowhere, he looks up to his dad and asks, "Dad, where do I come from?" Now, if you're a parent, you know that feeling, that split second where time slows down and your brain goes into overdrive. Is this the conversation? Is he ready? Am I ready? The father hesitated. Should he give a clinical medical overview of reproduction? Should he defer with the classic, "We'll talk about this when you get older"? Or should he just change the subject and hope the kid forgets? John didn't forget. He kept asking. He was genuinely curious. So finally, after what felt like an eternity, the father took a deep breath and decided, you know what? He asked, I'm going to give him an age-appropriate, honest answer. So he launched into it. He carefully explained the birds and the bees. He talked about how mommies and daddies love each other and how that love creates a baby. He kept it appropriate, of course, but thorough. He even threw in some details about the miracle of birth and how special it all is. And the whole time, he's watching his son's face. And John's expression, it's shifting. Confusion, surprise, maybe even a little bit of shock. The father realized immediately, I've made a horrible mistake. Have you ever had one of those moments where you're mid-sentence and you know you've completely misread the situation? Finally, John takes a deep breath and he says, "Dad, my friend told me he was from Ohio. I was just wondering where I came from." Ohio. Not the birds and the bees. Ohio. Now listen, I'm not here to tell you when you should have the talk with your kids. That's between you and your family. That's a parenting decision you get to make. But here's what I am here to tell you. That father's mistake wasn't about bad timing or poor judgment. His mistake was that he never stopped to ask a clarifying question. He never paused to understand what lens his son was looking through. He assumed he knew what the question meant, and because of that assumption, because of his perspective, he gave an answer that forever changed his son's view of the world in that one moment. The thing that most people miss is that you're doing the exact same thing every single day. Let me paint a picture. And if this sounds familiar, drop a comment below and let me know. You wake up at 5:30 a.m., you're already thinking about the proposal you need to send, the team meeting at 9, the client call at 11. Maybe you hit the gym, maybe you skip it because there's just too much on your plate. You get to the office or you open your laptop at home and it's go time. You're putting out fires, making decisions, managing people, driving revenue, you're crushing it. But here's what's happening under the surface. Every decision you're making, every email you send, every meeting you take, every yes that you give is being filtered through a lens. And that lens was shaped by years of messages you've internalized. Provide at all costs, hustle harder, sleep when you're dead. Your worth equals your output. If you're not growing, you're dying. Those are some of the internal messages we deal with every single day. And so you operate from a place that I call the provider pressure trap. You feel this immense weight to provide for your family financially, which makes sense. That's a noble responsibility. And yes, you need to do that. But here's the trap. That pressure forces you to say yes to every opportunity, every client, every project, which gives you less time for the very people you're working so hard to provide for. So you end up with this guilt in the middle of two different places. You feel guilty at work because you missed your daughter's soccer game. You feel guilty at home because you're thinking about that proposal instead of listening to your son's story about recess. You're constantly disappointing someone, including yourself. The reality is, in most cases, you didn't choose this lens. It was handed to you by a culture that glorifies the grind, by a business world that measures success in 6 or 7 figures, by well-meaning mentors who told you to sacrifice now, enjoy later, by social media highlight reels that make it look like everyone else has it all figured out. But just like that father who assumed he knew what his son was asking, you've been operating with a perspective that's leading you to the wrong answers. And every day you don't change that lens, you're building a legacy you never intended. Getting vulnerable a little bit with you for a second, I used to think that success meant having the business metrics dialed in. Metrics are good, they're important. Revenue growth, profit margins, client retention. And don't get me wrong, those things matter. I still track them. But I'll never forget the night my daughter, she was probably 6 at the time, came up to me while I was working on my laptop at the kitchen table. I had already missed bedtime story. It was after 8 p.m. She tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Daddy, are you always going to be busy?" Not, "Are you busy right now?" "Are you always going to be busy?" That question hit me like a freight train because in her mind, I wasn't just busy in that moment. I was always busy. That was her experience of me. That was the lens she was forming about who her dad was. Now, trust me when I say the life of an entrepreneur takes more time, more effort, and more energy than a typical 9 to 5. I understand that. I get that. And still to this day, I'm constantly reviewing what's the ROI on getting one more proposal out the door. I get that struggle. But what I realized in that moment is that I was winning at business, but I was losing at life. So let's talk about the real cost of the wrong perspective. Cost number 1. You're building a business, but losing your kid's childhood. You've got 940 Saturdays between the day your child is born and the day they leave for college. That's it. And if you're operating through the lens of "I'll have time later, hustle now, enjoy later," you're burning Saturdays that you can never get back. Your kids aren't going to remember the deal you closed in Q3. They're going to remember whether or not you showed up. Cost number 2, you're damaging your most important partnership. Your spouse didn't sign up to be a single parent, but when you're constantly distracted, always just finishing one more thing, never fully present, that's exactly what's happening. The distance grows quietly, one missed conversation at a time. Cost number 3, you're creating a business that depends on you. Here's the irony. The lens that tells you "I have to do it all" is the same lens that's keeping your business from actually scaling. You're the bottleneck. Every decision runs through you. Every fire requires your attention, which means you can't take a vacation, you can't unplug, and you definitely can't be fully present at home. Cost number 4, you're losing yourself. When was the last time you did something just because you wanted to? Not for business development, not for networking, not because it was productive, but just because it brought you joy. The wrong lens doesn't just steal your time, it steals your identity. So here's my question for you. What legacy are you actually building? Because if we're being honest, the real question isn't, do I see what you see? The real question is what I'm seeing even real? So now that we've identified the problem, operating through a lens that's creating outcomes you never intended, let's talk about the solution. And the solution isn't to work less, although if you can, do it. It's not to abandon your ambition or lower your standards. Those things are actually good. Your drive is a gift. Your desire to provide is necessary. The solution is to change your lens. See, when that father heard his son ask, "Where do I come from?" he filtered that question through his assumptions, his anxieties, his past experiences. He never stopped to ask, "What does my son actually mean?" One clarifying question would have changed everything. And the same is true for you. You've been asking yourself questions like, How do I grow revenue? How do I get more done? How do I balance work and family life? But those are the wrong questions because they're rooted in the wrong lens. The right questions, the new questions. What does success actually mean to me? Not to my industry, not to my peers, but to me. What do I want my kids to say about me when they're 60? Am I building a business that serves my life or a life that serves my business? What would I do if I had total clarity on my priorities? These questions and ones like them force you to step back and examine the lens itself. And when you change your lens, everything changes. Let me show you what I mean. The old lens would be, I need to work harder to provide for my family. I have to say yes to every opportunity. My worth is tied to my output. Time with my family is what's left over after work. Success equals revenue growth. The new lens, I need to build systems that create freedom for my family. I protect my priorities by saying no to opportunities that don't align, even good opportunities. My worth is tied to my presence and my impact. Time with family is scheduled and sacred. Success equals harmony between business growth and family connection. You see the difference? It's not about working less, it's about seeing differently. Because here's what I've learned after working with other high achieving dads. You don't have a time management problem. Although if time is a problem, we can fix that. But it's really a perspective problem. And once you shift your perspective, you stop living in that guilt. You stop being trapped by the pressure. Instead, you start living what I call an orchestrated life. So let's get tactical for a second. I want to give you the exact framework that I use and that I teach to the dads in my BossDad Accelerator to shift your lens and build that orchestrated life. I call it the BossDad framework. And no, it's not about being bossy or domineering or an alpha male. It's an acronym for the 4 lenses you need to see through clearly. BOSS is an acronym for Balanced, Owner, Strategic, Shepherd. Let's break down each one. Lens number 1, balanced. This is about you, your internal world, your energy, your perspective. The truth is that you can't lead your business or your family well if you're running on empty. You've heard me in the past talk about the 7 key areas of life, what Ula calls the 7 F's, which is fitness, that's your physical and mental health, finance, your resources, family, your relationship, field, which is your work and your career, faith, which is your spiritual foundation, friends, your community, and fun, your joy and your fulfillment. Most high achievers are crushing it in field and finances, but completely ignoring fitness, friends, and fun. The balanced owner lens asks, am I investing in all of me or just the parts that make money? Something that I teach in the framework is that before you walk in the door of your home, you need a transition ritual. I call it the 3Ds, or the CEO to dad transition firewall. The 3Ds are disconnect, turn off notifications, close Slack, and put your phone in a bag. Number 2 is decompress. Take 3 to 5 deep breaths, sit in your car for 60 seconds if you need to, and let the work stress drain. And number 3 is declare. Say out loud, I'm home, I'm present, I'm dad. This 2-minute ritual changes everything because you're choosing your lens before you walk through the door. So give yourself permission to take that transition seriously. Lens number 2, owner. This lens is about your business or your career and specifically about building systems that create freedom instead of dependency. Most entrepreneurs build themselves a high-paying job, not a business. You're the hub. Everything runs through you. The owner lens asks, is my business designed to run without me, or does it fall apart the moment I step away? In the BossDad Accelerator, I teach what I call the 3 Ps. It's people, process, and product. Do you have the right team in place, or are you trying to do everything yourself? And how are you connecting, truly connecting with the person trusting you enough to give you their hard-earned money as a customer? Number 2, process. Do you have documented SOPs, or is everything tribal knowledge in your head? And number 3 is product. Is your offer clear, repeatable, and valuable, or are you reinventing the wheel with every client? Here's a practical exercise you can do. I call it the time and value audit. For 1 week, track every task you do. Write it down. Then for each task, ask 2 questions. Number 1, does this require my unique expertise, or could someone else do this, or could it be automated? Number 2, does this move me toward my goals, or is it just busy work? I take dads through what I call the harmony matrix, and there's 4 quadrants in this matrix. And anything in the low value, anyone can do it quadrant, delegate it, automate it, or eliminate it. Because every hour you spend on low value work is an hour you're not spending with your family. And it's an hour you're not spending on the high value strategic work that actually grows your business. The owner pillar of the Boss Dad framework means you're the conductor, not the orchestra. You're not trying to do everything yourself. You have systems in place to buy your freedom back. Lens number 3, strategic. This lens is about your leadership at home. You're not just a dad, you are the chief culture officer of your family. Think about it. At work, you have a mission statement. You have core values. You have strategic planning sessions. You have one-on-one meetings. But at home, most of us are just winging it. We're reacting. We're hoping things work out. The strategic lens asks, what culture am I intentionally creating at home, and how am I leading my family toward our vision? Here's one of the most powerful habits that you could implement. Every Sunday evening, or whatever rhythm and frequency that you choose, do a 10-minute family sync. It's a simple agenda. Number 1, what are the wins of the week? Everyone shares one thing they're proud of from the past week. Number 2, a calendar review. Go through the week ahead, what's happening, who needs to be where and when. Number 3, family time block. Identify one protected family activity this week and put it on the calendar. And number 4, it's the connection question. Ask one deeper question to spark real, authentic conversation. This simple ritual does 3 very powerful things. It gives everyone visibility and alignment, just like in a team meeting. It ensures family time is scheduled, not left to chance. And it creates space for real connection. Because here's the reality, and I'm speaking to myself here as much as I'm speaking to you. If you don't schedule it, it won't happen. You wouldn't skip a client meeting because something came up. So why did we do that with family time? The strategic pillar and lens protects what matters most. Lens number 4, shepherd. This final lens is about integration. It's about harmony. It's about building a life where business success and family presence fuel each other instead of competing. The shepherd lens asks, am I building something that can grow without sacrificing what matters most? I talked about that harmony matrix in the previous step. And on one axis, you have business impact, high and low. And on the other axis, you have family impact, positive or negative. And every decision you make falls into one of 4 quadrants. It's high business impact and positive family impact. You want to do more of those. For example, creating systems that free up your time. The second quadrant is high business impact, but negative family impact. And you want to limit and put boundaries around this quadrant. An example would be important client travel. Do it, but set clear limits. The third quadrant is low business impact, but positive family impact. You want to protect this quadrant. Saturday morning pancakes with the kids would be an example here. And the fourth quadrant is low business impact and negative family impact. Eliminate that immediately. Endless scrolling on your phone, hours and hours of wasted time on social media, just get rid of it. When you filter your decisions through this matrix, clarity emerges. You stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes to the right things. Here's the ultimate lens check for the shepherd pillar in the Boss Dad framework. Imagine your kids are older. They're sitting with their friends and someone asks, "What was your dad like?" What do you want them to say? Do you want them to say he was always working and I barely saw him? He was stressed and distracted most of the time. He provided for us financially, but emotionally, he really wasn't there. Or do you want them to say he was present? When he was with us, he was all in. He taught me how to lead with integrity. He showed me it's possible to be successful and connected. He built something great, but he never sacrificed us to do it. That's the shepherd lens. It's building a business and a life that your future self and your future kids will be proud of. After this video, Get out a notebook and do that lens audit. Ask yourself the 4 questions that will reveal what lens you're currently operating through, and more importantly, they'll help you identify where you need to shift. Question number 1, what does success actually look like to me? Not what your industry says, not what your parents expected, not what looks good on LinkedIn. What does true success look like for you? Write it down and be specific. Question number 2, am I living in alignment with that definition? Be brutally honest here. If success means building a thriving business while being a present, engaged dad, but you're missing bedtime 4 nights a week, you're out of alignment. That's not judgment, it's just data. And data helps you course correct. Question number 3, what one lens shift would have the biggest impact? Look at the 4 pillars of the BeABossDad framework: balanced, owner, strategic, shepherd. Which one is most out of focus right now? Don't try to fix everything at once. Just pick one. Question number 4, what's one action I can take this week to shift that lens? Make it small, make it specific, make it doable. For example, in the balanced pillar, schedule 30 minutes for a morning routine, for prayer, for exercise, for journaling. Pillar number 2, owner. Document one process this week and delegate it. Pillar number 3, strategic. Schedule your first weekly family sync for this Sunday. And pillar number 4, shepherd. Run one decision through the harmony matrix before saying yes. The truth is that you don't need a complete overhaul. You need one intentional shift. Because when you change your lens, your actions change. And when your actions change, your results change. And that father in the story, if he had paused and asked one clarifying question, "What do you mean, buddy?" he would have given his son a completely different answer. So pause, ask the question, change the lens. So we started with the question, do I see what you see? And the answer is probably not, because we all filter reality through our own lens, our own experiences, our own fears and hopes and assumptions. But here's the good news. You get to choose your lens. You didn't choose the lens you were handed, the one that said hustle at all costs, sacrifice now, enjoy later, and your worth equals your output. But you can choose a new one. You can choose the lens of the balanced owner who invests in all 7 areas of life, not just the ones that generate revenue. You can choose the lens of the owner pillar that builds systems, delegates effectively, and creates a business that runs without you being the bottleneck. You can choose the lens of the strategic pillar who leads his family with the same intentionality and vision he brings to his business. You can choose the lens of the shepherd that refuses the false choice between success and presence. It's the start of a new year, and statistically, a third of you have already quit your New Year's resolutions, and the majority of you didn't even take the time to dream about your potential in the first place. But here's what I know about you. You were designed by God for greatness. You were put here for a purpose. And life may have beaten that inspiration out of you, the grind, the pressure, the voices that say you're not enough or you've made too many mistakes to come back from this. But that inspiration, it's not gone. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you to switch lenses. It's waiting for you to remember why you started this journey in the first place. You didn't start a business just to make money. You started it to create freedom, to provide for your family, to build something meaningful and impactful. You didn't become a father just to be a paycheck. You became a father because you wanted to shape a life, to pour into the next generation, to be the dad that you needed. So it's time. It's time to change the soundtrack that's going back and forth in your head. It's time to go all in on your purpose. It's time to build a legacy of clarity, presence, and impact. It's time to stop choosing between your business and your family and start building an orchestrated life where both thrive. It's time to be a boss dad. If this resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit that like button and drop a comment below. Tell me which of the 4 boss pillars, the 4 boss lenses you're going to focus on this week. I read every comment and I want to hear from you. Second, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Every week I'm releasing content specifically designed for high-achieving dads who refuse to choose between success and presence. This is your community. Third, and this is a big one, if you're serious about making this shift, I want to invite you to join the 5-Day Boss Dad Challenge. It's a 5-day intensive where I walk you through all 4 pillars of the Boss Dad framework to audit your current lens, to build your orchestrated life, to implement the exact systems I've taught you today, to create a roadmap that aligns your business growth with your family priorities. At the end of those 5 days, you'll have total clarity on your next steps. The link is in the description below, or you can go to BeABossDad.com. Don't wait. Your kids are growing up. Your business is demanding more, and time is the one resource you can't get back. So change your lens, change your legacy. I'll see you in the next video and hopefully in the next 5-Day Boss Dad Challenge. Now go be the dad, be the leader that you were meant to be. Win at business, win at life, be a boss dad.